Hi everyone, and welcome to your first of two lessons on the geography of medieval Japan under the Geography tab of the Japan Under the Shogun Teaching and Learning website resource. So lesson one is going to be the introduction to the geography of medieval Japan. It's really important when you're learning about a medieval or ancient society, you look at the way the geography, the actual physical geography of the place influenced the way people lived, because that's really going to affect the society which is brought up in the time period and the place that you're studying. And we're going to learn about how the people in Japan during medieval Japan were influenced and affected by their geography. So, your success criteria for the lesson. So, by the end of the lesson, you need to know the geography of medieval Japan, and you need to be able to locate the key sites of medieval Japan and explain how their geography impacted on the way people lived. Now, let's start with some background information. So where is Japan? So we can see it's quite north of Australia. It's in the northern hemisphere, and it's off the east coast of Asia. And it's surrounded by the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Japan, and so it has natural borders. So Japan is a mountainous country located between the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Japan, located east of Asia. Due to their geography, the Japanese during medieval Japan had natural borders. Rice and fish was their primary source of food due to their geography. Japan also experienced earthquakes and tsunamis because they were on the edge of a tectonic plate. The Shinto religion in Japan depended on the natural environment as well. And we'll get to that when we get to the religion tab of the website. So the main thing to take away from this piece of information here is that Japan was a really mountainous country, which means they didn't have a lot of land for farming. So that's why they turned to seafood, particularly fish, because they were surrounded by water. It was a resource they could depend upon and access. You can also farm rice on the side of mountains pretty effectively. So that's why rice was quite a popular food source in Japan as well. Alrighty, task one. So what we want you to do for task one is to watch the video here while answering these questions on this worksheet. That'll be provided for you if you're in class. Again, if you're learning from home, you can open up the link here and you'll be able to print that worksheet like so. You can also skip the squid bit that's after about 2 or 3 minutes. Skip to 4 minutes 30, that's where it gets to the good stuff again. All these questions are in order, so while you're watching the video, just make sure you're answering them while you're going. Alrighty, task 2, I'm just going to zoom out. Is a mapping activity on the map of medieval Japan. So you can see I've drawn up a map of medieval Japan, and what we want you to do is use this map here to fill in the gaps on the worksheet provided. Again, if you're learning from home, you can print this off by clicking on the link like so, and just filling in the names of the places. So using this map on the website to fill in the names of all those missing gaps on the worksheet provided. And then lastly, you've got some comprehension questions on medieval Japan's geography. So how many seas surround Japan? So we've got two. We've got the Sea of Japan and the Philippine Sea. Name the 3 cities on Kyushu. So you can see if we zoom right in here, we've got those 3 cities there. How many cities are on Honshu? So Honshu is the main island here, the big island here. So we can see we've got Kyoto and Edo. So they were the 2 capitals that swapped back and forth during medieval Japan. Edo being the last capital of the Tokugawa shogunate. So that's probably the main one there. And then if you zoom in a little further, we've also got Nara as well. And also we can't forget Mount Fuji, which isn't a city, but a very big mountain. What is the smallest of the 4 main islands? That's pretty easy there, Shikoku. What is the name of the ocean on the east coast of Japan? We've got the Pacific Ocean. Why couldn't there be farms towards inland Japan? So we can see all these mountains are here, so that's why we couldn't have big farms and crops. Since there was a limited amount of land to farm, people in Japan ate another type of food. What was this type of food and how were they able to get so much of it? So if we scroll back up to our information here, we can see that fish and other forms of seafood were quite popular in Japan. So that is our answer for half of that question. And they were able to get so much of it because they were surrounded by the Sea of Japan, the Philippine Sea, and the Pacific Ocean. So they had a lot of access to a lot of seafood. Now you can tell Japan is on the edge of a tectonic plate. It's on the Pacific plate, also known as the Ring of Fire, because there are mountains running down the center of the islands. This means Japan experiences a lot of earthquakes and tsunamis because it's on the edge of the tectonic plate. So that's another way the geography of Japan influenced the way people lived and the way the society was effectively brought up. And then lastly, to round off the end of the lesson, if you click on this picture here, it'll take you to a Kahoot you can play with your class as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you took a few things away from it. So just to recap, the main things from this lesson are that Japan is quite a mountainous country, which means they relied quite heavily on seafood as well. We've got the 4 main islands and we've got all the main cities as well as the surrounding seas and the Pacific Ocean, which quite heavily influenced the way people lived. Your first task was to watch this video here while completing this worksheet. Your second task was to use this worksheet here to fill in the gaps of this map. And your last task was the comprehension questions on the map using the materials you've collected so far. And then lastly, you've got a Kahoot you can play as a class as well. So thanks guys, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to stay updated to any new websites that are made or any other videos that are created. And I'll see you guys for Lesson 2, the natural resources used by people in medieval Japan.